Okay, so welcome to session 0 of our Supers / Monster Hunters GURPS campaign. I will begin this with a bit of an overview. So, Meg, if you didn't finish reading that blurb, I'm basically going to repeat everything I just said in there. This campaign is going to be a sandbox urban crawl set in a reskinned Detroit, Michigan, USA, called Motor City, set 20 minutes into the future, as the TV tropes go. It is to be a blending of GURPS Monster Hunters and street-level GURPS Supers, a comic book movie TV style, with a more or less exclusive focus on clearing the city of a vampire infestation.
Damn suckheads.
It is to be set in the same continuity as the Night City Chronicles, and will share the same cinematic flavor and rules options, though I don't expect any character crossovers, at least at this point. So, a number of points. I am referring to this on as Supers rather than as Monster Hunters Online, because I expect that's going to actually perform a little better. But I have been referring to it as Monster Hunters internally to basically set expectations. And that is essentially the rule set we're using, but they are mixed together. This is going to be a limited run, assuming they aren't all limited runs, which is to say that when the objectives are complete, it will be over. So I don't necessarily intend to extend past that point. However, I do expect it to be a few runs, at least, each of which will be as long as I can safely manage without going quite mad. So be expecting 8 or 9 session range, maybe a little bit more if things go really well. Depending on outside factors, obviously, but we'll see. There will be no linear narrative. This is intended to be the character's emergent story, driven solely by their decisions and resulting consequences. So I will not be spoon-feeding you the plot. You will have to go get it. This will feature rules and concepts from Monster Hunters, including a lot of The Hunt. It will center around a series of hidden objectives that will be uncovered ad hoc. This structure will borrow some background mechanics from Night's Black Agents and Dresden RPG, though these won't necessarily be in the foreground. I am specifically talking about stuff like the Conspiramid from Night's Black Agents and some of the city building stuff in Dresden.
That's pretty cool. I like the city building from the Dresden.
Mm-hmm.
None of this I know.
Okay, so hardcore Iron Man rules will apply. There will be no fudging, no gimmies, and no quarter whatsoever. If you do something stupid, I will not ask you, are you sure? I will just shoot you in your virtual face. Be aware.
However,
overall,
coming from Gigermann, I completely remember him telling us in a face-to-face group, "Yes, I am going to kill one of you in this session or in this run," and none of us were even hurt.
That's
Not
right.
my virtual face. It's much prettier than my real face.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, Nosh knows how that works too, given Redux.
Kill!
The overall structure of this campaign will allow for ad hoc swapping of characters. Essentially, this is going to be troop play. So, close to West Marches. So, we're going to have more PCs than we have actual seats at the table. And backups are going to be allowed and possibly encouraged. So, we know at this point that FX is going to be in and out. We also know that Nosh has a tendency to surprise disappear. And so those of you that aren't sitting at the table at the moment will have plenty of opportunities to swap in. So we'll be dealing with that as we go. A little bit more on that later. There is also going to be the potential for GM swapping here. So, given the nature of the campaign, it would be pretty easy for somebody to pick up in the middle as long as they're not messing with some of the, I won't call it story elements, but they are story elements. So, with the introduction out of the way, going to do a little bit of table setting here. So some of you guys are new here and have not played in a campaign that I've run. And for the rest of you that have, I will be making some clarifications and or changes here based on lessons learned from recent experience and research that you'll definitely want to take note of. So this may depart a little from the familiar. Also, this is how I intend to run the campaign, not necessarily how it will actually turn out. So guidelines versus actual rules.
Oh, we know all about that.
Therefore, in that regard, the GM's job is to adjudicate the rules, place appropriate obstacles in the way of PC's goals, and to roleplay NPCs. The GM's job is not to make sure everybody is having fun or being entertained. Not
Well,
to
I'm
keep
out.
things moving. Not to make sure PCs succeed at anything. Not to drive or create the narrative. And not to make sure each PC is useful or spotlighted. These things are, by elimination, the player's job. I will not be doing these things. As said, I will not be spoon-feeding the next plot point. Now, about die rolling. The purpose of the die roll is to create drama and give decisions consequence. If there is no drama, there's no reason to make a die roll. I know everybody likes to make die rolls anyway, but die rolls take time to process. So I prefer to make as few rolls as possible by eliminating unnecessary rolls and using shortcuts where I can. Hence, I have some house rules like take the clock, taking average, basically for people that are familiar with D&D, it's taking a 10, taking a 20, that sort of thing. And we've actually been using the clock a fair amount with some other GMs. That is, if you fail, you take more time until you succeed, and that's all good. I have a standing table rule. Don't roll unless I ask for it. Unbidden rolls are distracting. Also, I may not want you to have to roll for something, or I may need time to process what success or failure means. So if you roll a crit success on something I didn't ask for, I will absolutely ignore it. I think I've done that before. Now, some die roll conventions that I use. And some of these are things that I've been doing before, and nobody's actually asked how it works. So, for starters, I don't typically make you roll for basic info if you have a sufficient skill level. And in those cases where that's true, I usually allow you to make a roll for extra information. I use a lot of pre-rolls for things like enemies and secrets and stuff. I do not actually make you roll those per session. What I'll do is I'll make you roll at the beginning of the campaign run a bunch of times, and then I will figure out which session it falls on. I use group rolls, and this is one that takes a little explaining. So the best example of a situation where this matters is perception. So you come up on a thing and you need to find out if any of the players or any of the PCs actually spot it. And so what generally happens is everybody makes a roll. And that's called dogpiling. And what happens is, from a probability standpoint, the more people making the same roll, the more likely it is to actually succeed. And when it comes to two 3d6 rolls together, there's a formula to find that out. What the increase in probability is from there. Unfortunately, that formula breaks down when you get to more than 2. I don't know what the right formula is for that, but based on some conventions that they introduced in GURPS Zombies, I have broken that down into a formula that I can use, and I stuck it on a spreadsheet. So what I will typically do is I will take everybody's perception and I will turn that into a single roll of what tends to be a really high number, because if everybody has a really high level, that's just how it works. And so I will have somebody roll a really high number and use that for the group. Just so you're not surprised when I do it. And if you ever want me to explain how I arrived at the formula that I have, I can do that.
Can I, bless you, can I say something, Gigerman? Just a thought. A thought. Oh, never mind. Go ahead. No big deal.
Okay, for later then. Especially the new guys probably don't know about universe reactions or have just been introduced to it. That was something that I came up with a long time ago. And essentially what that means is if there's something going on and the GM doesn't want to just arbitrarily decide something, we will ask the universe what it thinks by making a reaction roll. And if the universe reacts poorly, it doesn't happen. And if it reacts well, then maybe it will happen. And there are a number of different variations of that I use. I've actually broken those out into subtables to make it easier to read, but I think most of you have seen that happen in the Traveler game now and may have been scratching your head as to what exactly that meant or where it came from. That's what this is. I have a new thing that I'm using, which I'm referring to as a cuckoo roll, where I will mix in a universe reaction with another roll. So say you make a skill roll. Yeah, better idea here. One of the best examples of this is scrounging, or rumors works the same way, but the problem with scrounging is you can make a skill roll and you can be really good at scrounging, but if there's nothing there, if you're in the middle of a salt flat, you can't make a salad. And so the purpose of the cuckoo roll is to take a single roll and have it not only confirm whether or not your skill succeeds, but whether or not something is actually present. So that eliminates the need to make other rolls or to have weird tables and shit like that. I like the after the end scrounging stuff. That's all well and good, but that's a whole lot of extra rolling, and extra rolling takes time, and I don't want to do it.
Or you could just have, since Ronki doesn't have enough to do, he can make those tables to where they're talk to one another. So you make one roll and it will look up to this table and look up to that table and roll off that and roll off this.
That sounds really complicated.
We already have it with the hit location stuff.
Yeah, no, that's true. It will roll a table and then roll another table. But then you've got to chain those together. There's another one that I know has confused FX from time to time. What I'm referring to is a floating roll. So I may have you make a roll with perception, and I may actually apply that against your observation without telling you, or other skills if those other skills are appropriate, because I don't want to tell you what skill you're using because that will reveal too much. So don't feel like if you don't hear me say roll observation that you're not actually using the skill. You probably are. You're probably using it a lot and just don't know. Another one that I typically use is retroactive checks. So another one that could confuse people sometimes. the best example of that is you're at a party and there's a point of interest at the party that you might or might not spot. And I don't want to tell you while you're at the party that, hey, make a perception roll to see if you see this thing over here. And now you know that something was there, even if you don't make the roll. So what I do instead is later down the road when the information actually matters, I will make you make the perception roll then, based on the events that happened at the party. There's another convention that I have had a tendency to use in the past and probably will here as well, and that is basically taking the roll out of certain perception situations, specifically when it comes to vision distance. So when you're dealing with moving around in the dark and you've got enemies running around and you got to figure out, well, who can you see, who can you not see. What I will do is determine what the conditions are and what the penalties and stuff are and figure out what your vision range is at that point and just pay attention to the range instead of having you roll the dice every 5 seconds to see what you see. And lastly, again, when it comes to perception, there are times when the outcome is going to be obvious and I don't bother not telling you. So I know GURPS has the example in the book about don't tell them that there's a tiger sitting in the tree waiting to pounce on you, and say, roll to see if you see it. But in some cases, that actually works better. Because if the outcome is obvious and somebody's going to see it, then basically I just use the perception roll to determine whether or not you're surprised instead of whether or not you see it. That was a bunch about die rolling. So, a bit about bookkeeping. And this, you may have observed that I have a tendency to make a fuss about things, and I want you to understand why, because I believe it's important. We have an audience on YouTube and Twitch. Their only source of additional information is the Wikipedia, or the wiki. As such, I want to keep it current. So I try to put as much information as we can on the wiki so that people can get to it, and so we have it recorded for the future. And you never know when you're going to need that information, so I will be asking for that stuff. We use Discord for weekly communication. Everybody knows that, except Megaquai. So if you're going to be involved here, you're going to need to get on Discord.
Well, he knows now.
He knows now. And due to the chat room paradox, my name, we can't keep quote unquote permanent information on Discord. So we use the forums for that, which means you guys will also need to get on the forums.
I think you can technically keep it on Discord. You just have to pin it.
Yeah, I mean, you could pin it and stuff like that. That's kind of clunky. It's easier just to go ahead and put it on the damn forums.
Actually, does Discord not have a forum mode?
You know, I thought somebody had said that ages ago, and I've never seen that.
I think when you set up a new thread or a new channel or something like that, you can set it up in forum mode.
I've never seen it, so I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's any good. Might be worth looking into, I guess. But we've already got a forum, might as well use it. All right, so a little bit about content. Hey, I'm not using AI. FYI. I don't use AI to do my work for me. but I will be using tarot. So FYI, I will occasionally have you pull a tarot card. I have a mod for that on Fantasy Grounds. Don't be surprised. Been doing that for a long time. Most people actually know I do that. All right, and that's enough of the table setting. Now we will get on to the actual campaign stuff, which is why we're here. What follows is an account of the various rules through which I intend to govern this campaign. Most of these are negotiable, but I will insist on a few. Qui tacet consentit. You will be understood to have agreed to everything that follows unless you say so.
I refuse.
You have the right. World setting stuff here. Obviously, this is supers. I have said that this is part of the Night City Chronicles universe, I guess, for lack of a better term. Night City is nearby to Motor City. Supers do exist and are a known thing. So this is kind of a comic book supers deal. Probably a little bit more grounded than typical comic books. It's not going to get too crazy, I expect. But based on some of the past question and answer stuff that we did setting up the Night City thing, there is some sort of Avengers kind of deal out there. So something more global. So typical supers thing, which means
When you say
capes
Night
and masks.
City, is that like Cyberpunk Night City?
Not that Night City. K-N-I-G-H-T. Briefly, we have a supers campaign that we started working on a long time ago. There have been 3 sessions actually played that are available on YouTube. Black Knight and one of Ricochet's. And basically, when I went to figure out what I wanted to run this time, I was leaning towards supers, but I did not want to use that campaign because of the way it was structured. It was just not going to work out. So I decided instead of trying to rewire that one, I would just make a new one. Here we are. For the economy, after character creation. So during character creation, GURPS prices are going to be as normal. So you can just go through and pick up stuff out of the book as is, however that works. After the campaign starts, we're going to use real money. That is real prices, wages, cost of living, that sort of thing. So at that point, GURPS will no longer apply. And I've basically done that in the last several campaigns I've run. It's not unusual. So Motor City, for you non-Americans, which actually outnumber the Americans at this point by quite a few.
So weird.
Motor City is a reskinned Detroit, as I mentioned. If you're not familiar with Detroit, and not everybody is, if you have seen The Crow takes place in Detroit, aka Motor City. So things like Devil's Night, that's a real thing. It also has a very high crime rate in real life as well as here. And the population and the city proper, actually, let me go ahead and show you the map.
And it probably has vampires too.
You know, I haven't actually used this. How do I? Right. It's been a bit. Okay, so if you're seeing the map, Detroit proper is the red area, and outside of that is continues on for quite a distance. Is the Detroit metropolitan area, or in this case, Motor City.
Just curious, is this an image that you've shared?
Yes.
Do you? Okay, it just loaded up.
Okay. Was it not loaded yet?
I just wondered
Came
if
up-
you had line of sight stuff turned on
Where
Oh,
are we
no, I
sharing
don't.
this?
in Fantasy Grounds. But if you jump onto
yeah, I'm
Twitch,
sharing it on
you
Fantasy
should be able to
Grounds.
see it on Twitch.
Yeah. You got to see it on.
I'll put the Twitch channel in the TeamSpeak chat.
While he's doing that, so basically what I was about to get into was the metropolitan area is fairly large. I think it's the 14th largest metropolitan area in the United States currently. 4 million something. The Detroit area, or in this case, Motor City area proper, is what's in red in the map here, and that is a much smaller part of it, but it is the core of the city. And basically what's happened, I'll just keep referring to it as Detroit for the time being. Detroit used to be the center of vehicle manufacturing, car manufacturing in the United States for quite a number of years, until around the 50s or 60s, when the manufacturing started going overseas and the companies started moving out of the area, and there's been a economic decline from that point. What has happened demographically is that white people have moved out of the inner city, and basically there's nothing left there but blacks and other non-whites. So it is outside of the red area. It is normal white majority, and inside that, whites are the minority. Motor City will also reflect this.
Plus,
There's also
vampires.
There's also actually a significant Muslim population there too. I know the Hamlin area is not technically part of the actual Detroit or Motor City proper, but it's actually one of the only places in the U.S. that has an entirely Muslim government.
Are you going to make that distinction in terms of game mechanics, like with cultural familiarities, etc., or is that just kind of background flavor?
Well, I don't think it would really matter in this case, given that they are still Americans after all. So they're going to have Western culture familiarity themselves. I don't intend to split that up. But it is a pretty big melting pot, so there are a lot of other nationalities in the area. Oh, and FYI, Canada is right across the river. So
If
a
Journey
little
taught
hop
me
and jump and you're
something,
in Kanukistan.
if Journey taught me something, is that there's no South Detroit, right? South Detroit is Canada.
Right. Yeah, and so also for the record, you can go online and look at stuff like crime statistics or whatever, and that's all going to be true here in Motor City as well. So if you decide to do some research, you can, and that will be applicable.
Except with the presence of vampires, I would presume.
Except for the vampires, as far as we know.
Missing persons and homicides would be higher than normal, wouldn't it?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they have vampires. Speaking of vampires, when it comes to the rules for vampires, I have not 100% settled on everything, but what my leaning is at the moment is that I'm opting for fun rather than sensibility here. So I'm not doing what I think vampires should be like. I probably will go full Monty. All kinds of ridiculous vampire legends may apply, so we'll see about that.
If we see any sparkling in the daylight, get to kill them.
There will be no sparks.
Are vampires going to be like like more of a sentient, like let's say like I don't know, like in the Dresden, they got the different factions,
Mhm.
or like the originals, where they kind of rule parts of the city.
Or what about
Hold that
Vampire the
thought.
Masquerade?
The Masquerade, yeah.
With the
Hold that
Camarilla.
thought. Hold that thought for later. I will add that vampire languages, since they tend to come from the Carpathian region, Romanian and Hungarian are going to be pretty common amongst those sorts of people. If you are poking around for languages to use there, that's probably a good start. Meta rules. So first off, we're going to be using victory conditions. I did mention that. There will be a number of victory conditions that will be scored at the end of the campaign. I don't know what that will do necessarily, but who knows? In the meantime, some victory conditions will be obvious, like eliminating all the vampire nests. Some will not be revealed until later, if at all. There is one victory condition of note that I will tell you about here at the beginning, and that is ending the campaign with at least one original PC still alive and active.
Oh wow, good to know.
So somebody's got to make it all the way through, or you're going to lose a point. All right, next part, escalating difficulty. So I will be using bad. Does anybody need me to explain that? Basic abstract culty.
Yes.
It's from the action series, specifically action 2. And basically what that does is it uses one overarching penalty instead of figuring out all the little niggling details. And so if bad is -2, then basically all the stuff you got to do is at -2. And what that does is allow you to increase the difficulty for something without getting into the specifics.
Gigermann, just on that along the same lines. So the Monster Hunters has the investigation part. Is that going to be part of it? Because you said the hunt for sure.
Yeah, that is what that is. So we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so when it comes to the escalating difficulty part of this, so I'll be using bad, and each time a nest is taken out, the difficulty level will go up on everything else. So,
Is there max bad?
no, although there are going to be ways to reduce it, so it won't be completely kill you. So, for example, if you can recruit allies in a given neighborhood or something, or eliminate enemy allies, or raise public awareness, that sort of thing. There are things you can do that are going to lower the bad. So the further you get in, the more you'll need to do additional things in order to make it easier to actually complete.
We're going to have to hire a propaganda team.
This will also increase over time. So if you guys just sit around not doing anything, bad is still going to go up. And the longer it takes you to take stuff out, the higher it'll get. Otherwise, bad is going to work as described in action. I think Monster Hunters also uses that.
They use a similar one, but you have to get boost. So your bad starts out like at -10 or something like that, and then as you start the who, what,
yeah,
when,
that's
where.
slightly different.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's why I was
it
asking.
can be related. I think they will probably combine. I'd have to check on that. So timekeeping. In this case, what I'm planning to do here is there's going to be a 1-week gap between sessions. So basically TV series time. So time is going to advance. We do one session, and next week when we play, a week will have passed. In game, that is. Unless, we end up having to do a 2-parter or something like that, logic. But that does mean that study time and that sort of thing will actually get used here. So to official options on the rules and stuff. I am going to be keeping this up on the wiki. So basically all my campaigns, I've included a rules section where I spill out all the official options and house rules and stuff that I'm using so that you can go back if you ever need to and refer to that, or hold my feet to the fire if I'm not doing it right. For starters, I'm not going to go over everything here, but for starters, I'll explain supers. So supers and Monster Hunters related stuff here. Magic, in this case, is going to be RPM. Basically straight out of Monster Hunters. I am considering whether or not to use the Dungeon Fantasy 19 simplifications of the process. I haven't actually read into that again yet to make sure that that's something I want to do, but if that's something you guys want to do, that's a possibility.
What's 19? Is that incantations?
Yes.
Because I think that'll be totally different in RPM.
So I believe the way that works is it gets rid of the accumulation rolls into a single roll or something like that. Again, I haven't gone in and looked at it, so I don't know. And really, it ultimately depends on how many people are actually going to use it and whether or not it'll even come up. I'm assuming FX is looking at doing RPM.
Yeah, I love the RPM, so that's definitely what I'm looking at.
He's part of the reason why we're doing this campaign. He didn't know that until just now.
I didn't know that.
Supers on page 85 has a section on headquarters. That will be in effect here. So you guys can spend points to have a lair and have it outfitted with stuff and people and that sort of thing.
We could have a lair.
The effects of the masked perk in this are going to be considered a genre convention. So you do not require to have that perk in order to benefit from it. If I recall correctly, that specifically means that if you actually just slap on a domino mask, people will actually not know who you are, even though that's kind of ridiculous in real life.
Like Superman and his glasses.
Exactly.
Hey, he's got hypno specs.
Or CW masks.
Supers.
Yes, CW masks, which could be just
Right.
grease paint over your eyes.
Point values for dependents and allies on page 68. That will also be allowed here. I believe that's just allowing for different point scales on those. See, from action, the action series, I will be using go-to skills. There is a list of go-to skills. I forget which page it's on. And I know we've had some issues in the past with, specifically with observation and the way it's described in the basic book versus the way it's used in all the other supplements. And action basically breaks all those skills down and says, this is how we use them in action. We're going to be using that. We will also use chases, more than likely, and a lot of mechanical simplifications that action uses. We will be using those as well. That will not include range bands. I'll go over that in a minute. Or rather, I'll go over that now. We have the, at this point in Fantasy Grounds, we have the ability to port the penalty for range directly to your hit roll. So there's really no need to use range bands. And also, I have a ranged combat spreadsheet, which I'll talk about some other time. I'd love for people to use that. I have introduced all the existing players to it, and I don't think anybody's actually used it.
I keep forgetting about it. Sorry. I have way too many bad habits that are built in, and it's like, this is how I do things, and then it's just like, oh, you want me to change how I done things for 10 years?
Yeah, I know how that
The
works.
nerve!
From the basic book, some official options we'll be using. I am going to use bleeding, just the basics. So basic 420. That's it. I'm not planning on using anything out of high tech or martial arts or anything like that. Depending on Ronki and whether or not he actually does that whole individual wounds thing, I may actually use that. So if he goes through the trouble of developing it before this campaign starts, I may actually use it.
What individual wounds thing?
So basically what it would mean is whenever you get hit, instead of just ticking off your hit points, you would go to the wound tracker and just say, I got hit at this location for this much, and this is the effects. And so you basically just spell out each wound.
Yeah,
Kind of
it's
like in
accumulated.
Shazit Kala?
Sorry?
Kind of like in Shazit Kala?
Not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's the accumulated wounds optional rule.
It's part of that, but the one that I'm familiar with was, I believe, Tales from Elseworlds did something similar to that, where basically you write out the wound. I got here for this much, and this is what it means. And that way you heal each individual wound instead of just a generic hit point pool and stuff like that. It's actually a little more elegant. For skill improvement, I will be following the significant use rule on Basic 292 and the IQ roll for defaults. I know we've kind of been doing that recently anyway. And as I mentioned, improvement through study will be in effect here, and we'll have a spreadsheet set up for that, so to manage it. Shouldn't be any pain involved. The campaign run overall is probably, well, the initial run is probably only going to cover a couple of months, maybe 3. So you won't earn a whole lot of points in that range, but the entire campaign in itself could end up taking a year, who knows. So there will be some benefit to paying attention to it. And as I mentioned, the hunt from Monster Hunters, I will be using that a lot. And the caveat here is I will be using group roles for that. And I will also be doing those in the background. So the way that they tell you to do it in Monster Hunters is every time you hit a clue, everybody has to make a damn roll to see if they deduce what that means. And there's absolutely no way I'm going to do that.
That does seem unnecessarily rolly.
It's a bit ridiculous. So I have a thing that I have used in a couple of past campaigns when I've used the hunt, and I will be continuing that. This basically means I'm going to go in and figure out what all the penalties are. And instead of having you actually roll for it, what I'll do is I'll take a 10. And as you collect more clues, you increase the bonus to the point where you finally deduce whatever it is. And I will use whichever skill is most appropriate that's highest. So you may not actually see those rolls happen. Now, when that happens, though, you can still, for example, go to a crime scene, and even though I've already checked all the clues and everything, you can still make a criminology roll and see if you find anything different that I haven't covered. So it won't be a complete, it's not like you will never roll those things. So that is basically the tildeer on the official options. Like I said, those are going to be on the wiki. So I will encourage you to look there, but anytime you need to know what we're using, it should be on it. House rules. So these are the house rules that I'm planning on using. And these are just the ones that I I'm trying to use a smaller set. I'm not doing as much experimentation in this game. But you guys are welcome to suggest new mechanics or suggest we use some other stuff if you like, as long as everybody agrees to it and will actually use it. Then we can work that in. But for the time being, universe reactions, I already used those. I mentioned that earlier. Plot points and bennies. So we have a problem right now that some Nosh has started calling. Nosh uses bennies as plot points, or he calls plot points bennies, and now Ronki has started calling plot points bennies. And so I can't really call plot points and bennies separate things at this point because now everybody's going to get confused. So I have to come up with a new name. At the moment, let's call it plot bennies.
What about pennies?
Yeah, that's not going to help really.
Endpoints.
I'm not doing the general purpose plot points where they're just everybody gets a certain number of plot points and you can do re-rolls and stuff like that. This is only going to be special purpose. For example, tactical or planning or that sort of thing. So for you new guys, the way that works is kind of like what we were just doing with the bennies in the chase in Traveler. If you are preparing for something and you make a roll and you get a certain number of those plot bennies, those are aspected toward preparation. So there are things that you have prepared in advance for that you don't have to define at the point that we start that whole process. And so as we go, you say, oh, we needed some rope. You spend your plot benny and we had rope. We were prepared for that. So that's the sort of thing that the plot points will be for. That's all that I'm doing. We used to use those for like flesh wounds and rerolls and stuff like that. And we stopped doing that after a while because it sort of ruined the sense of mortality in the game.
Especially if you're trying to kill us.
The other one in this case is what I was referring to as bennies, and what I'm thinking may end up being called bonus points or something. I'm not entirely sure yet, but my bennies are a +1 or -1 to any die roll. So I give these out as incentives or rewards for good play or whatever. So you'll get a number of these as we go, and however many bennies you have, if you make a roll, whatever it is on the die, you can move it up or down by 1 point per benny you spend on it. And that's it. Additional house rules. So I am using a number of Dungeon Fantasy RPG simplifications. Specifically, I think it's fright checks, falling damage, and slams are handled differently in DFRPG, and it's way easier to use. So we're going to use that instead.
I think falling is the same in action as in
I think
Dungeon
it might
Fantasy.
be. I will also be using fantastic dungeon grappling here. So I keep every time I run, I try to use that. Most of the time, we don't get much use out of it.
Nice. Love it.
But okay, so you're familiar.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
it's fun.
Because that'll make it easier.
It's such a good set of rules. I haven't got to use it thoroughly, so I'm not hugely acquainted. But now I want to build a grappler.
We've used it a little bit here and there, but I can tell you for a fact, you're fighting vampires. They are going to grab you. So
Yeah, sounds
it will
relevant.
get used
and
here.
they have bite attacks.
Exactly.
Won't they be surprised when they find out we're all running around wearing metal gorgets?
Mm-hmm. They'll figure that out quickly. So those are the ones that I'm definitely using. Most of those are negotiable. I am sticking with the fantastic dungeon grappling because we got to actually learn how to use it before we ever actually can actually displace the rather lackluster grappling rules in the basic set. I have been considering a little bit the draw swords negotiations mechanic. Basically, all that means is when you're doing a negotiation with somebody, they've got a 0 to 5 score on patience and interest, 2 separate scores. So when you fail, their patience goes down, and when you succeed, their interest goes up, that sort of thing. And whenever one of those hits the top or the bottom, the negotiation is over.
Where's that from?
Like I said, it's a mechanic from Draw Swords. I got it out of a video.
Huh.
I don't
I have
remember
to
whose
look
it
into
was.
that.
I think I sent you the video on that.
That's entirely possible. You send me a lot of things that I ignore.
That one I haven't decided on, and even if I did, it's probably going to happen behind the scenes, so you may not even notice if I do.
Well, I'm just thinking about using it in my Warhammer game
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, it's a nice system-independent system.
So patience and interest. Very interesting.
Yeah, patience goes to 0. They tell you to fuck off. If interest goes all the way up, all in. Anywhere in between, there's kind of a thing for it.
Interest hits 5. You hear a disembodied voice asking, "Would you like to know more?"
Mm-hmm. All right, so now to the part about the characters. So, most of you who have read up on this beforehand are familiar with the whole thing about I laid out a bunch of existing characters to be ripped off for this purpose. Megaquai is probably the only one that doesn't know about that already. He might look over that real quick and see what the suggestions were. However, having said that, that whole existing characters thing is just a helpful boundary that I have set up. You guys are welcome to stay within those boundaries or not. I don't give a fuck.
No, I'm going to go out of those boundaries. I'm not going within the lines.
So, when it comes to the actual characters, I don't give a fuck. If you want to play a space clown with webbed feet and a tail, I don't give a fuck. You play whatever you want.
Damn it, now I want to play a space clown with web feet and a tail, just to see if you would live up to that.
Who does give a fuck is the other players. So at this point, this is your guys' story. And you guys get to decide what kind of characters you want in your group and how they're going to be related or not. So you don't have to sell me on your character. You have to sell everybody else on your character. And if they don't want you to be Killer Space Clown, you got to pick something else. So
I'm
this will
totally in favor
depend
of someone
greatly
playing
on the
Space
kind
Clown.
of... Sorry, say again?
I was just remarking that I'm totally in favor of someone playing a space clown. That would be awesome. Not me though.
Uh-huh. All right, so as stated before, this is standard Monster Hunters character setup. So 400 points, 75 points of disads. Remember that for some of you newer ones, the quirks are included in the 75. They are not extra. I am encouraging everybody to use Monster Hunter's Tempt. However, I don't give a fuck. So this is also going to be using supers. You can use trim down supers templates. You can make something entirely from scratch. I don't give a fuck. It will be full cinematic. Out cards are okay. All the cinematic advantages are okay. Superpowers are obviously okay since it's supers. So do whatever you want. Now, one note that I wanted to bring up is signature gear. FX had an issue with signature gear, and I want to remind him that if you pay points for signature gear, that means if I take it away from you, I have to give it back. So if I take it away from you, you're going to have to trust me that I'm going to give it back. And if I'm not mistaken, the headquarters thing is actually using signature gear, so that will also apply to that. So when it comes to, let me just go this. If it's not implicitly or explicitly on your character sheet on the forum, you don't have it. So what I mean by that is you can have your starting wealth set to the 80-20 rule. You put that on your character sheet and say, I'm using the 80-20 rule. And then I will know that whatever it says in the basic book about the stuff that you have for spending the 80-20, that's what you have. So a home, a transport, that sort of thing. If you do not have a home listed on your character sheet, you don't have a home. If you don't have a day job listed on your character sheet, you are unemployed. You will get no income.
It's not
Discord does not count.
Blade had no job, and he was fine.
Well, he also didn't have a regular income.
He took it from suckheads.
Well, that's a freelance job. There is a Pyramid 4.5, Modern Action 2. It has an article in there called The Working Adventurer, which is actually really good for this purposes. It lists out a bunch of jobs that are really good for people who are also moonlighting as adventurers. It also spells out some cost of living pay details that are actually useful here. Although, again, that'll be using real life stuff. So if you're playing a programmer in game, we'll find out what a decent salary for a programmer is and use that. I am not given points.
In
Go ahead.
your wealth level and such?
No.
So your wealth level will only be for starting stuff.
That's all it applies to.
It also applies to your jobs.
No.
Your income, yeah.
No, it has
Usually.
no effect on income. Yeah, it's an old thing that everybody thought that's how it works. That's not actually how it works. It has zero effect other than starting wealth. So if you get a job that's $100,000 a year, it doesn't matter if you have the struggling disad. What it'll do, it'll make you pay it off.
I envision several people are feverishly pulling up the basic book to go, let's see if he's right. I think he's wrong.
I'm pretty sure it applies to your salaries.
Nope.
There's a couple of different rule sets when it comes to occupations, because occupations have their own set of rules, and then there's rules around starting
page
off as well.
517.
So they sort of do cross over and sort of don't. But it's GURPS. You can pick whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. For expedience of time, we can get into that later. If you pay for it and we find out later that is how it works, then that's how it works. So I'm fine with that. Ultimately, I don't give a fuck.
I do have a question. How dependent will the characters be of their, day-to-day jobs? Because in theory, I don't know, if you're like Superman,
Right.
you can just be a hobo and you don't need any equipment, basically.
Just needs some coal and he can smush it and then sell a diamond.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll use the standard cost of living rules unless you are exempt from that for some reason. For example, if you don't eat, then you don't need to eat. So your cost of living is lower. But when it comes down to it, you'll be expected to actually be at that job if you have a job, the required number of hours per week kind of thing. So you will have to work around it.
We're using the patron rules from Heroes as well. So if you
Patrons
have
are
a
fine.
patron, they'll support you as a monster hunter.
Yeah, you can totally do that.
Yep, cool. Just checking.
Yep, whatever you want to do there is fine. It's just again, like I said, if it's not on the sheet, it doesn't count.
Mhm.
So I'm not giving any points for background. There will be no +5 points for background because ultimately,
Sad face.
I don't give a fuck. If you don't
You
have a
need to give
background,
a
that's
fuck.
fine. If you do have a background, we'll use stuff from your background. If you don't have a background, you get out what you put in.
Yeah, so my character just exists.
You could,
Okay,
because I don't give a fuck.
gotcha.
I am not going to chase people around and try to get them to give me their damn background. You guys do what you want to do. You'll get out what you put in. So campaign perk, kind of like the mask thing. The costume stick is going to be a campaign perk. Don't pay for it. You don't need it. Just assume it works. For employment and for your home and for whatever transport you have, I will include that as a feature. So you can put it on your character sheet as a 0-point feature. I work here. I do this. I get paid this much. You can put your home on there. You can be as specific as you want to be. But if you say that you are employed and you don't tell me what that employment is, you are going to end up working on the line at a dildo factory.
And there
Which
are a
is
lot
gonna
in
be-
Motor
that sounds
City.
like
It's going to be
Awesome
super
job.
embarrassing when we kick in the door to kill vampires
Mhm.
and you're standing there holding a big purple dildo.
Unless that's
Or
your
it
main
can like
attack.
dual wield, you know?
thank you,
That's
Saints
right.
Row.
This is my signature
all
weapon.
dildos in. Thank you, Saints Row. Because of you, all dildos in our giant and purple.
Yep.
Just to mess with Geiger.
Gigerman, did you
Signature
say
weapon.
that you were going to keep it a mystery from us still, the nature of the vampires? Or do we kind of know they're the templates, from Monster Hunters or whatever not?
We're gonna be asking that question here in a little bit, so hold on to that still.
Just to
Okay,
mess
so,
with Geiger, we should do all our characters should be the mystery men.
Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's up to you guys. You guys have to agree to it.
Nope, we're going to do the Scooby Gang, so that means one of us has to play an Inhuman who's a werewolf.
Looks like Rigel's got us covered.
Raggy!
There is some stuff in
Raggy.
supers. There's some stuff in
Scooby
supers
snacks.
about using group points to do things like get a headquarters for the group. If you guys want to do that, I'm cool with that.
Or a bigger patron.
Something like that, yeah. So if you guys all want to work for the same guy or same patron, then that's perfectly fine with me. You guys work it out. With regard to area classes relating to this campaign, when it comes to stuff like area knowledge and current affairs and stuff like that, there are a number of things that use area classes. So the levels in Motor City are going to be neighborhood level, the police district / region, so some of the larger areas, the ones that have the words on them on the map, and then the city, which is just going to cover the red part, and then the metro area, which will cover the entire thing. So those will all default to each other at -1. This will all be on the wiki. They'll all default to each other at -1, and per the normal rules, if you have one at a higher level, you can still know things at the lower level. It's just going to be less detailed. So if you have area knowledge metro area, you're not going to know who's who in this or that neighborhood. Also, I found out in the last campaign that I had been wrong all this time, that the places you lived, you don't get area knowledge at IQ level. You get to default it, where you normally don't. Which is only -4. All right. At this point, there are only a couple of traits that I have identified that are not going to be appropriate in this campaign. Unaging and terminally ill will not apply. Don't bother taking them. Well, for advantages that are definitely not going to apply to the campaign, what I'm going to do is you can take them as a perk. So if you wanted to take unaging, you could take it for 1 point. But terminally ill will not apply. There's no way you're going to actually die within the time frame.
Naturally.
Not naturally, no.
We should be a
Yes.
bunch of
Well,
400
naturally,
point.
if a vampire rips your head off, you're going to die. But aside
I
from
think
that,
we should all be 400 point geriatrics.
all right. So,
Cocoon,
Sounds
like
good to me.
3.
For character reviews, and this is going to be a little bit of a departure, because I will expect at this point that the characters are going to be posted on the forum with attachments for me to review. I will be reviewing those characters for illegalities only. I do not care about content. I don't give a fuck. If you make a bad character, that's your problem, not mine. I
All
will
my
provide
characters are
assistance.
bad.
I will provide assistance if you ask for it. I will not volunteer that assistance, which is a bit of a departure from usual, because I'm usually a little more voluntarily helpful, and not everybody likes that, so I'm not going to do it. And I'm also not going to be chasing anybody around. There will be no campaign start date announced until I have at least 4 of the characters that are complete and playable. And that means no placeholders. That does not mean that they can't be updated after the fact, but they are going to be more or less locked in. So at that point, I will need at least 2 weeks. So if everybody drags ass and it's December before I get all at least 4 characters that are complete, then we won't be playing until January. Now, when it comes to whether or not those characters are complete, I am including within that auxiliary character details. So if you say you have a dependent or an ally or a patron or an enemy, and you do not include details on who that is to the point that I know what they are, then that character is invalid. That also includes placeholder quirks. Do not placeholder quirks on there without immediate. Just grab something and stick it in there if you're going to do it. Now, when it comes to the auxiliary characters, I don't expect you to stat them out necessarily. I just need names. I need to know who they are. I need to know what they look like. Enough that I could build it if I had to. Now, when it comes to death and new characters in this campaign are going to start at the starting level. Always. So if everybody's 500 points, they're still going to start at 400. You guys can sub in with a backup at any session that you want to, as long as all the players agree to it. So this is going to be part of the sort of West Marches thing. So you guys can agree at any point that we want these 4 players to be in for this session. And you can do that as long as I know about it ahead of time. If your character dies, there is the possibility that you could potentially play on as a vampire.
Goodness sake.
That could come up. We'll see, but there are ways that could still work. I don't think the other PCs are necessarily going to be in love with that idea, but that is a thing. All right, so some other table rules. I'm not doing a grace period. There will be no grace period. Do it right the first time. However, having said that, I have a standard retroactive flex rule that I use. So if you have a skill or attribute or something that you have not used in the campaign, it has not come up yet at this point, you could say, I'm going to fix that one, and I will be okay with it. So, for example, if you play a boat character and you decided, I forgot to get swimming. If the previous session you said, oh, I don't have swimming, I can't swim, then you can't just go the next time and add a point into it and say, oh yeah, I always had swimming. But if you didn't do that, you could actually go back because there's no record of it having been, you haven't said that you don't have it in the game. Another standard table rule that I will be keeping up here is 1 additional character point for everybody that helps tell the story. 1 per session limit. And what that means is if you go onto the blog and blog, or do some prose, or if you want to take over put in the chapters in on the YouTube videos, or you want to keep up with the wiki, update the wiki, stuff like that. If you're helping out, you will get an additional character point. And I would be perfectly happy for somebody else to do the huge stuff. Absences of swapping. So like I said, we're going to be, you guys can tag team, and I will be able to veto that if it comes up. For example, if you're in the middle of a fight and somebody, you can't just swap somebody back in. I may veto that, but in general, I'm gonna be flexible with that. So I'm expecting that you guys are going to be in and out. And also, you're not going to be having anybody else play your character for you. So we will not be NPCing your character. Iron Man rules. I already talked about that. Let's see. Ah, right. Okay. So, unluckiness. If your character is in an invalid state when we play, then you will have unluckiness. So, for example, if you have a placeholder quirk on your character sheet when we start play, you'll be unlucky until you fix it. But this will also apply to things like auxiliary characters and that sort of thing. We should not actually encounter this unless you add new stuff during the campaign, because I'm going to be clearing all those characters before we start. But occasionally this stuff happens. I think I've actually done that to someone before. Also, I don't really care, given that this is Fantasy Grounds and I can't see you. If you're doing other stuff while we're gaming, that's on you. But as long as I don't know about it. And the way I typically know about it is when you're not paying attention and you make me repeat myself. I really hate repeating myself. So I'm instituting a 3 strikes rule. If you make me repeat myself 3 times because you weren't paying attention, you will be unlucky.
What were you saying about being unlucky?
Mm.
I'm just kidding.
I almost put in my
Don't
notes
worry, I
to
was-
pause and wait for somebody to do that.
I was so going to do that as well.
I know people too well. Yeah, so stuff like that. If I put something on Discord and by the time we get to the game you haven't actually responded to it, that'll count as well. You'll be unlucky.
So,
And if you're already unluckiness,
AFKs.
if you've already got unluckiness and you ended up doing something else and make it worse, I may upgrade you to cursed. And those will work as normal per the rules. But God, you don't want cursed, because that's, I know some of you have seen Supernatural. That's if you lose the rabbit's foot. That's what that means.
I don't know. It sounds to be fun.
It could be. But every drive-by that happens, you're probably going to catch a stray bullet.
And yes, it is.
I've never taken cursed as a disadvantage.
I don't know why anybody ever would, intentionally.
I remember in 3rd edition they had Jinxed, which was like super
Yeah.
tempting to take, but everybody around you would freaking hate your ass.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
I
think they
guess,
actually
how are
removed-
you going to... What's your plans around Weirdness Magnet? Because I've had some games where it's nothing, some games where it's, a bit of all over the place, and some games where it's just freaking horrible. So
Okay, I have had at least one that I can think of, one campaign where I've had somebody with Weirdness Magnet, and I have made use of it. And I could also point you to one that Rigel has done in our face-to-face group where he used it a bunch. And I have zero problem with Weirdness Magnet, and I will absolutely make it count.
What about frightens animals?
But I also will remind you that Weirdness Magnet includes a -2 to reaction rolls from other people, and I can
If
point
they
you to an
notice it.
example where that actually happens.
Yes, he ran a game
Yeah.
way back in the face-to-face group where he had an NPC who had it, and at a point in the game, I was the only PC, I was the only player who's like, yeah, we're not, screw this chick. She can go jump off a pier. We cannot stand being around her because of this crap.
I have to admit, it's probably one of my favorite disadvantages.
Yeah, so
it's one of those ones that is GM dependent a lot of the time, because it depends on
It
how they
is.
want to run it, because it's very, weird and bad things happen, but sometimes those bad things are good things as well. So
yeah, I would say that my GMing philosophy is if you take a disadvantage, that is license for me to do that to you. So if you take Weirdness Magnet, it is a disadvantage. I will disadvantage you with weird shit.
Just how weird is
that's
that?
part of the fun of it.
Well, so for example, in that particular instance that Rigel was referring to, she ended up picking up basically a possessed ring, and almost, I can't remember if she tried to kill somebody or tried to hurt him. I don't remember, but there was some other stuff that happened there, like they were witness to a airplane crash in the middle of the highway. They saw Elvis at a drive-through window, and it may or may not have actually been Elvis. And they had a spate of missing time at night on the highway alone, where when they woke up from that missing time, all their instruments had been dead, and there was a light that just cut off and may have zipped off somewhere into the stratosphere. Stuff like that.
You see, it's one of the coolest disadvantages someone can have.
It can be fun. All right, well, at the point, that's all the explainy stuff I got to get out of the way. So now what we are going to get to is the stuff where you guys need to pitch in. So when it comes to the rule stuff, is there anything that you definitely want to use that I did not detail already?
Well, I'm thinking of going for insubstantial.
Well, I
Power.
don't mean from that standpoint. I mean from a overall rules standpoint. So, if I hadn't already suggested fantastic dungeon grappling, you could suggest that, or you could suggest technical grappling if that's your thing. I probably won't go there.
Oh
but,
yeah.
Um,
Any
one
not
such-
basic grappling rules are more fun. So
yeah, well, and we've used FDG a little bit, and I still find it easy enough to use that it's worth the additional confusion, since we're not used to it yet. But it's way more granular. It feels better. I did want to ask you guys whether or not you wanted to go full on tactical shooting or stick to the basics on that. I did say that I'm not going to use range bands. I explained why, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to go full on tactical shooting. So if you guys haven't been there, you can speak up to that.
in a Super's theme game, it feels more appropriate just to, do it. Like, not tactical shooting, just cinematic style.
Yeah, since Gunslinger is an option for, I think, at least one of the templates, maybe more than that.
And just clarifying, are you using the gunful rules as well?
I don't think there's anything different in there, or that's not already included in action in general. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actions generally says just use gung fu and occasionally points at it, but includes most of the rules. So
Right.
Yeah, so that's all good. If you want to do John Wick, this would be a reasonable place to do it.
Yeah. Let's see.
I did have a bit of a query with respect to your group roles and perception. If you make a character that is naturally high in perception, so they see everything, will your odds table work such that it would be to their detriment?
No.
So
it always starts from the highest.
So if you have,
so basically, what would happen if you got a character with like a 20 perception? I don't know why anybody would bother rolling at that point, but if you did, then and everybody else had a 10, then you basically start with the 20 and add bonuses for all the other 10s that are also present.
Okay, so
it always goes up.
So we're doing it like your standard group roll. You get +1 for every one that has it, and -1 for everyone that doesn't.
At some low levels, it might work that way. The difference between those systems is that the pulling your weight rule is a situation where one person is rolling for the entire group and everybody succeeds, whereas the group roll is for a situation where only one of the group has to succeed in order for the whole thing to work. And so one of them is going to succeed at some point, so it gets easier the more there are. They're slightly different, but at low levels, they're probably pretty similar.
So we should
Alright.
all take absent-minded as a disadvantage.
If you want to, I will absolutely hang you with it. You give me the rope,
as long
I
as
will tie the
one
knot.
person's a watch.
So other sort of rules you could pitch here. I know I mentioned Knights Black Agents. I have in the past, especially for Sea Dogs, considered working in their Solace.
I can't remember what those three
Yeah,
are.
I can't remember what they are. There are three things. They all start with S, but they were things that you can do to sort of regain yourself when you're getting crazy. And it's a little extra mechanic. It would probably work out really well here, but I'm not going to use it unless you guys actually pitch it to me. So stuff like that. If there were other things that you wanted to work in.
I did really like the idea behind that system, and I was going to mention that. I just was trying to remember what the hell they were called, and I was going to mention that. I just was trying to remember what the hell they were called.
Safety, Solace.
I just was trying to remember what the hell they were called.
Safety, Solace. But that's a good point. Is we're not using. I haven't proposed using any madness rules here, so. If that was a thing that you wanted as part of the story that you wanted to tell here, then you're welcome to pitch that to me. As long as everybody's on board, I'll use it.
Yeah, I don't know. Since it's got the cinematic stuffs, it seems conducive to only do that on an individual basis, where it's like, yeah, my character's concept is he's going crazy. Then, then it would make sense. But otherwise,
okay. Well, I'll let you chew on that for a little while. The next question we need to answer here is advancement. So we typically do either 1 or 2 points per session. If you guys want to do something different with it, you want to work out milestones or something like that, let me know what the milestones are going to be. I had considered the idea of, at the end of the game, asking you to justify whether or not you should earn any points for that session. I don't know if I really want to do that, but I thought I'd throw that out there and see if it stuck.
I'd lean towards 2 myself. I'm not sure about the milestone idea. Have to do extra thinking.
I would think milestones because it's a nice way of just being like, hey, you achieved something. Here's some points.
Yeah.
And an amount that you can actually do something with. Because a lot of the time I feel with GURPS, I feel this is one of the biggest detriments to the system as a whole, is you've got this trickle of slow points coming in, and you just end up chucking them in skills that you may or may not use later. So
yeah,
that's my
I
thoughts.
can totally be swayed in that direction.
Yeah, like I said, if you guys actually want to do milestones, we'll have to come up with what they are. So
There's also the idea of, is it Dungeon Fantasy maybe, where they have like, you defeated an insignificant monster 0, but hey, you fought like a big monster that's 1, or a boss is 2, so they kind of give you guidelines. Yeah, they have guidelines like that. So it's a little more cinematic and you get more points potentially. But it's just
I'd be
another
good with
idea.
that if that's a direction you guys want to go.
Symbol, solace, and safety are the 3 things.
I was just pitching. I'm pretty easy, so whatever.
So we have proposed and seconded on the milestones.
Yeah, definitely worth looking at.
All right. Then I will think about what some possible milestones could be and propose that. What kind of chunks of points are you thinking of? Or let me phrase it differently. Would you want to keep getting the normal points per session and also do milestones, or would you want to only
Yeah,
do the
that sounds
milestones?
good.
So
I guess
one per
depends on
session and then milestones.
I guess depends on
One
how
per
much
session
you
and
can do.
milestones is all right. Just because it does give that little bit of flex if it's like, oh, I should really pick up that one skill. But for me personally, I'd prefer just, hey, you've achieved something significant, have 20, 30 points, bang, go.
Also, 400-point characters we're also gonna be having high skill levels and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
To go to 4 or 8 points up to like 16, let's say for that next skill level, it's 2 points at a time is gonna take a lot of sessions.
Don't forget the wild cards. Like, getting those up sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll work that direction then.
But however you want to do it.
I'll consider that a pass. Motion carries. Okay. Next question I need to get from you guys is: do we want to set an upper limit on hidden lore vampires? So essentially, do we want to start play with something to learn, or start play with everybody knows everything already?
We can
Or maybe
know
midway.
generally, but the specifics could be the thing we need to discover and put pieces together, if that makes
So
sense.
maybe like limit the skill to like you can put 1 point in it for now for starting characters. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You can do it that way. Or you can do it however you want, but
Well, that completely scuppers like my original first idea of playing a sage. So, but I
Or
guess we
you
could
could
just
just
not
it
know
could just be
specifics
one more.
about vampires.
Well,
I think it should be individual. I mean, maybe some characters know there's stuff out there, they just don't know the details. They start learning, and some people are already part of the mission. They're already neck deep into it.
well, ultimately what happens is if somebody in the group has a hidden lore vampires at 16, nobody else is going to need it.
Yeah, that's the point of having a sage around.
Which, yeah, that's true.
You
And
go,
if
hey,
that's the kind of
I need
character you
this
want to
thing.
play,
I need this thing identified.
Right.
so
So
I'm good
we're
either
also
way,
talking.
but that's your call.
It also goes into like the niche detection,
Uh-huh.
and that's the usefulness of templates, like you mentioned.
So sounds like you say no limit.
My vote is no limit. Unless the character, whoever's playing, they're creating their character and they want to kind of create that emerging type of character into this world. But I think maybe not forced upon us, but as we create our characters,
Okay.
obviously, I think we should have some differentiation a little bit in some of the skills that we have. Maybe.
Okay. So then we're not going to set an official campaign limit on the hidden lore skill. So you guys will have to police it yourselves.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I was planning on keeping it relatively low for my character because he's not super read in yet, depending on which one I go with.
Okay. The next part here is kind of similar to that, and that is whether or not you guys are local to Motor City or you are coming in from the outside. So basically the same situation. How much do you know about Motor City? And do you want to learn as you go, or do you want to come in knowing everything already?
I think should both be most appropriate, give us all the flexibility. And I don't
So that
necessarily
one,
see it being bad.
yeah, that one is more of a background issue, whether or not you guys are from there. Again, it's a story thing. What kind of story are you telling, and is that the way you want to do it? So you guys can agree to whatever you want to agree to, but I brought it up so you guys will be thinking about it. And with that, we're basically down to picking the characters at this point. So At this point, I am going to start with Rigel, since I know he's already got a character.
Character
And,
idea.
well, he's probably more than just an idea. But while he's describing what he's got in mind, you guys can be thinking about what you're going to do. Rigel, go ahead.
All right. So my very first character concept when he started mentioning this is I was going to play a straight up immortal. I was going to be the Yankee from Virginia, originally born in 1755. But as I tried to build that in Monster Hunters, as you guys would probably be, unsurprised to learn that you cannot build a decent immortal character for 400 points.
Well, with the 1 point perk, you can.
No, the principal problem is he has one advantage that is 100 points, 105 points, I think. And that's
Unkillable.
unkillable, 3 Achilles heel. But he's got a bunch of other stuff. And it's just like, so I was originally going to try to do it similar to the Inhuman, but then started revising it. And my current idea is actually a newbie immortal, like a street kid who got caught in the crossfire and got shot
Like
down.
Richie in the Highlander TV series.
Yes,
I totally forgot about that guy.
I only vaguely remember that show because I remember not caring much for the idea that there were 2 McLeods who were both immortals. But I suppose if my brain had said, hey, why don't you just say this is just the same character, you can probably get along with it better. But yeah, something similar to that where he's relatively brand new, but he would be local to the Motor City. And the older immortal, probably my original character concept from a very, very long time ago, is like his patron. As to why that guy isn't getting off his butt and fighting the vampires, I don't know. Maybe this is the same reason that the elder vampires aren't getting out and going on the streets as well.
All right. Runky, do you have an idea or you want to pass?
I'm going to pass on this, but I'm leaning towards something like the Frog Boys from Lost Boys.
Right. All right, FX.
Well, I was also looking at the Sage character, but so I was trying to tie him into
I'm
like
easy, man, if you want it.
yeah, but the thing is, Sage character, they can go so many different ways, lots of flexibility. I'm thinking, I always thought it was cool. I like the Dresden series. I've only read like 2 books, but I like the world, the universe. So I was thinking something along the lines of a warden. So they have magic, they're magic users, but they rely on their weapons, the melee, so they kind of get into the thick of things. And then they're sort of an enforcer type.
Well, technically, they're full wizards. They just have special capabilities with the weapons. I love the Dresden series, by the way.
If you don't take the witch talent, you can't really use magic in combat with that system because it takes a long time anyway. So you can be a full mage, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with the RPM system. So he wouldn't be a ritual adept, is what you're saying. I would rely a lot on my prepared spells, but he would have, like a lot of them, like probably like 30 or more, and then he would just be a melee combatant. And his spells would focus on, I forget what the talent is, like from 1 to 3. It'll be like healing and protection type, is what I was thinking. Anyways, that's just one idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about Dresden, to be honest.
Yeah, just so you're aware, there, FX is I ran briefly a Monster Hunter game here face to face using GURPS Monster Hunters and our Wizard just used the witch from Monster Hunters 1 as a basis. So it does work.
Yeah, the witch is the big difference between that and the sage is the witch has ritual. Sorry, ritual adept. So instead of taking minutes, it takes seconds to cast.
That's closer to the pro wizards.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm envisioning. But
cool.
Anyway, yeah, I'm thinking he's going to be more of a prepared caster, and melee type. But I could make him a full wizard. But I guess I don't know who was talking earlier, if that was Things or Pendragon.
I was talking. I wasn't going to be a full wizard, but was going to be more like Giles-esque, but wealthy to cover gaps. So could even be like a cheap patron for a player.
And then
I kind of
that was
expected you to go in a Constantine direction, but that works too.
And then you had put Doctor Strange. So I'm going to play some kind of magic user. And those are my two ideas.
Yeah.
The other one,
okay.
the other one would be more of a full-blown caster.
Familiar with RPM. I'm not hugely familiar with RPM system, so I'd happily not play a sage in that case.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, RPM is not GURPS magic. It is very different. So
yeah, it's great. I just have issues with the energy gathering with the core stuff because it requires dice rolls out the butt. It's like, really?
I've played games where PM was in it, but other players were using it, so I'm not completely. Well, I'm pretty novice with the system, and I need to remember how it works. But I'm not fast. I played so many characters in so many games at this point. I'm pretty cruisy to play anything. So.
Okay. Nosh.
Yeah. So I'm going to go full cold check on this one, except I'll be the grandson of the original Carol Kolchak. So I believe that's
going to get eaten.
That is Monster Hunter's Sleuth, I believe.
Yeah, I think Sleuth would probably be the right one for that.
Well, that's simple enough.
I'm happy to be the face or the voice or whatever for this group.
All right. Pen, you got an idea or you want to pass?
No, I actually, before looking at the characters you suggested, I was thinking about a different character from the Crow, like Eric Draven, something like that, minus the eponymous Crow.
Okay.
You know? But then it might be a bit similar to Rigel's character. So I'll have to see how we make that difference.
So when it comes to that, there is the possibility that you guys will not be in at the same time with some of the other characters. And as far as GM goes here, I don't give a fuck. If you guys are overlapping, that's on you guys. So if you want to bother about it, you bother about it. If you don't want to bother about it, you can have two people playing the same character for all I care.
I think it'll be fine. We can become brothers, back-to-back badasses.
Yeah.
But if you actually do want to do the Crow, I do have some resources in that regard.
I would love to read them.
All right. Things.
Yeah, well, there's my philanthropist sage idea, which may or may not happen depending on what everyone else wants to do. But essentially, it'd be like moved into the city for the purpose of he knows something's going on and is trying to solve the problems here. Then there's think Rich Giles from Buffy. Then there'd be my second idea was a sleuth who kicks indoors and shoots people, and then remembers he knows how to ask questions good. Yeah, think like Spike, but
No vampire.
human. Yeah, not a vampire. Like personality-wise, which he'd be fine with a sex sleuth in the team. I was thinking, it's like, oh man, my second character's gone, but it doesn't matter. That'd be very helpful if we want someone to, like, push narrative and push story a bit harder, which can be a problem in some games. And my final idea was just some generic tank, but my generic tank could definitely have a, shtick for grappling now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I have one more idea for one character that I've never got to run that's way out there, which would be one mind in several bodies. So it'd be a teep.
That's
Oh, wow.
interesting.
Teep psi.
Cool. Super cool.
But that would have to be a that'd definitely require some approval, because the problem is they come out a bit weak because they spend about, I think it's 80 points, maybe 100 on being multiple bodies in a hive psi,
Mm-hmm.
but each one of them isn't overly strong. But then if you use the what is it called, the group psi linking stuff, then their powers can be more strong. So
Oh, there's that word. What's it? Gestalt.
That's the word.
that's the one.
Okay. And what's your leaning at this point out of those choices?
Probably a sleuth. Door kick a sleuth. And-
Spike.
Yeah.
All right. Mega Quai.
Like I was saying on the Discord, I've got a idea that I previously played in a Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition campaign. Kind of like Shadowcat out of Marvel, out of the X-Men, but have a lot more karate skills and slightly cat-themed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe mixed with a little bit of Buffy or something. Stupid
Okay.
co-pilot won't image for me.
I do have a.
I'm going to bail. And so thanks, everybody. And we'll catch you when this gets running, or we'll catch you on the boards.
Thank you very
Bailing
much.
already? You had another
Sadly.
hour.
Sadly.
Okay, well, we mostly got the end of it anyway, so.
I think so. All right. We'll see you all later.
See you, Nash.
Later, Nash.
Yeah.
I did have a new idea for a character. Either an angel sent from heaven,
User disconnected from your
Or-
channel.
That would be Inhuman, Fallen Angel.
or a
A seraphim.
demon sent from hell to collect souls that have escaped.
Inhuman.
Kind of like Spawn.
Human.
So, angel is sent from heaven to send all these vampires to hell, or he's a
Right.
demon sent from hell to reclaim all the souls back to hell.
I love it.
All right. Well, at this, you guys can discuss a bit and decide which way you want to go. Meanwhile, I'm going to take 5.
Yeah. Now I just have to build my character. Yeah, it's gonna. I was figuring I would take probably one of the sidekicks, the 200-point sidekicks, and then build on top of that with my immortal stuff.
Well, with what Gigermann said, I'll probably, because I've already actually smashed out a couple with the templates, but I changed them a little bit. So
Yeah, I was playing around with the templates. I couldn't quite get it to work like I wanted it to, so it's like, oh well. But yeah, it's just going to be me determining which template, which sidekick template to use, because I was thinking about a fixer, and I was also thinking about scout, like a sneaky bugger. Actually, we might. I don't think we actually do have, apart from maybe Mega.
The sleuth is sleuth. All the sleuths can sneak pretty well.
Right.
Are people's
Sleuths
characters
are like B&E plus / face type characters. So
Yeah.
are people's characters generally leaning towards good guys, bad guys, or everything in between?
We're fighting vampires.
Vigilantes.
good and neutral.
I'm not sure. I'm
Chaotic
thinking
good.
of maybe doing that guy with a character, like a journey. How do you say the journey's hero thing going on? Something like that, maybe.
So let's see. So, FX, you were talking about potential. What were the spells? Protection and what?
I forget the advantage. Unusual purpose. No wait, higher purpose. You
Yeah.
can get from 1 to 3. So just some bonus on your die rolls. So that would give me a focus on healing and protection, but that doesn't mean I cannot still do other. I mean,
No.
it wouldn't limit me. I
No,
would
that's
just be
fine.
better
It
at
was
it.
just I was just trying to figure out what my the sidekick I should go with, and I was like, should I go with white coat? No, sounds like we've got that covered.
Right.
Well, bits of
Because I'm also
magic
thinking,
with ritual. Extra
yeah.
characters with magic is really helpful.
Well, what I'd like, it kind of depends on the party as well. Like we need to have, like I'm thinking, like boom, I cast some sort of buff. It gives everybody a certain amount of DR, right? Or, group heals or whatever. Like, but we need to have somebody that is good at killing vampires. We still need to have like the DPS, if you will.
That's what guns are for.
No, clearly I'm going to be a sword guy. Because, there can be only one. And, decapitating vampires is just perfect, just effective as everything else.
What was
Yeah.
Meg again? You're the Giles.
Nope, the Mega was Shadowcat.
Right.
Nico.
So yeah, we have a decent amount of fighting potential. So
Pendragon, what was you?
Sorry, come again.
What was yours?
I was thinking something similar to Eric Draven from The Crow, but without
Right,
the
Crow.
crow.
Okay, so I know that
I'm not
only 3
familiar.
of you
What's
can
that,
actually
Ray?
see the list.
Sorry.
You're not familiar with The Crow?
Nope.
Holy
Oh,
cow!
Ooh, you need to watch that movie.
The
So
real one, not the remake.
Brandon
Oh, you
Lee
can watch.
died in it.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes even wow.
I
But
think
you can also watch
1980s,
the sequel.
80s, maybe early
Yeah.
90s.
Bruce Lee's son.
I think it's 94. You can watch the sequels and you learn to appreciate the original more.
Okay.
That's so often
Yeah,
the
see,
case.
I was just hoping you vaguely describe the character to me, not tell me to go watch some
Right, he is
40, 50-year-old movie.
He plays in a band, and him and his I don't know if she's his wife or his fiance.
They were
just-
getting married.
Yeah, fiance are murdered by a bunch of gang guys, and then a year later he comes back, and he is basically running around yanking the crap out of the dudes that killed him and his fiance, and he can't die and has a bird. Caw,
Yeah, I
caw,
mean-
caw.
Well, he can die,
Yeah.
George. You die. He dies by
You
killing
have
the
to-
bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original story, he didn't actually have any superpowers except that he could sin without guilt was the thing. So he was able to murder all the murderers without having any emotional damage from
So
it.
a combat
but,
monster, and like,
effectively, yeah.
You should definitely watch the films. Wow, it's great. It's an amazing film.
Fantastic
original-
soundtrack.
Oh my God, yes, that's so true. One of the best soundtracks of all times for films, in my opinion.
And I will not disagree with you there.
And then you can go and keep watching. And I think the last one before the remake, you have like Edward Furlong as the Crow, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw maybe the first 30 seconds of that trailer. I'm like, these guys don't get it.
I watched it because I love watching train wrecks. That was like horrible. It was
Yeah, that's
really-
not me. Okay, in the channel chat, I put the choices. I've actually got a note up in Fantasy Grounds, but I don't know if you guys can
Yeah.
see it. Okay, so at this point, is everybody good with those choices? Does anybody want to veto or modify anything?
Well, it'll be angel /
Sounds
demon.
good to me.
I'm not sure. It depends. If the group is mostly good, then he'll be an angel. If the group is indifferent, he'll probably be a demon. But I do have a
So
I'm
we're just going to use Inhuman.
probably the inhuman template. But I do have a question.
Yep.
I would like to have him be effectively.
User in your channel timed out.
Oh, who timed out? I was thinking, if he gets killed, then heaven or
Oh.
hell just sends him back. Would that require extra lives, or is it feasible to just bring the character back?
Oh,
User joined
that's an
your
interesting
channel.
question. I'm gonna say you can do it the way you want to do it. If you want to pay the points for unkillable, or if you want to pay the points for extra life, that's fine. That's a pretty reasonable take on it. If you want to start over with a new guy when he dies, and it's technically the same guy, I don't have a problem with that. I would probably have you recast him at that point, though. Like he's using a
Yeah.
different host or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Every time he comes back, he has occupied
Mhm.
a new body, and probably that body is someone that has, recently died. Something like, was it Meet Joe Black?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of Supernatural, the way they handle the angels in there. That's probably about right for that. Also, to a lesser extent, Legion.
I was thinking about Legion when I said about Angels. You
Okay.
totally stole that and this.
Wait, what Legion are we talking about?
The movie, not the series.
Gotcha. Because I was going to say, if it's the FX series, that dude is way more than 400 bits. He is a reality warper.
All right. So I want to walk away from this session knowing what everybody's going to play. So is everybody pretty happy with their choices at this point?
I think so for me, yeah.
Me too.
I just
I
have to
am.
figure out what my the sidekick is going to be. not sidekick, but what my split from sidekicks is going to be.
Oh, right. Okay. Ronki, for your question, let's just assume we're going to all be good guys here. Because honestly, I really don't want to deal with the alternative.
Okay.
All right, well, and all that, I've got one other thing to do, which is a shame that Nosh is gone because I would have liked to have been here for that, but I guess I can catch up to him later. So one of the things I'm going to borrow from Dresden Dresden RPG is their locations thing, specifically the recurring locations. So what they do in that system is, or well, I guess it's not set in stone that you do this, it's just recommended. But they'll go around and have everybody go around the table and have everybody create a location that they want to be a recurring thing in the game, and figure out some things about it. Now, in our case here, everybody's gonna have a home probably, and possibly some kind of workplace or some stuff like that. So those locations are already going to exist. And also, one of the possibilities that they mention in Dresden is neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods are already defined. So we really don't need to create those necessarily. So at this point, really what I just want everybody to do is come up with one recurring location. It does not have to be tied to your character. It could be just a general thing. And what that location is and who the face of that location is. Is that it?
I've full of weird things.
Hold that thought. Yeah, hold that thought. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Okay. So since I know Rigel knows the system and has been pre-informed about all this, I'll have him start.
Okay. So since I changed my original concept, I also changed my location. I'm thinking the YMCA in the really bad part of town, which is going to be close to where my character grew up, where it's just it's a Y. It's a gym. It's got a pool. It's pretty run down. It's run by a guy named Tyrone, who is like an ex-gang guy who went to prison, found God or found Allah or whatever, and he's now like doing I'm trying to make up for my crimes, but somehow he knows everything that's going on in town. So he's like the dude. You go there, and it's like as long as you give him the appropriate amount of money, he can tell you, yeah, you should look into X, Y, or Z.
So like a contact as well.
Oh, it's for anybody.
I have a suspicion what I'll probably end up doing is something like I had started doing with Sea Dogs and Old West, and making them a contact that's available to everybody.
Yeah. And that includes mundane, supernatural, whatever. So somehow he's got a line into everything.
All right. Let's see. Ronki's next on the list currently. You got one?
His place is probably going to be an inner city church, and there's the priest there. He's going to be an typical Irish priest, and this priest knows his deal.
So Daredevil thing.
Yeah.
Bless me, Father, for I have consumed the souls of the evils. Not again.
All right. Got it.
My bad.
FX, you're next on the list.
Well, I haven't had a lot time to think about it, but I'm
That's why I'm
thinking.
springing on it to you now.
I'm
You can pass if you want
thinking.
to.
No, I have an idea. Just don't have it fleshed out. But someplace, so he'll be an apothecary, dealer of grimoires and ingredients and supernatural, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So he may not have, let's say, a grimoire that I'm looking for, but he may be able to point me to where I can find one, something like that. Or he may have a selection of potions, or ingredients. So that kind of a person. Um, I'm thinking like in a bad part of town, in a basement. I'm not sure location wise, but kind of a seedy place, dangerous to get to, but nobody messes with him because he's got all his wards up and protections and stuff like that. So nobody fucks with this person. But that's where you go when you need to get stuff.
All right. Probably a good start.
Totally thinking of the spice and tea shop from Grimm.
Oh, I was thinking the magic shop and Buffy.
I haven't seen either one of those, so they both sound good.
Wow.
Let's see.
Hasn't seen Buffy.
Yeah, I just watched the entire series, plus some Angel episodes that were tied in.
Man,
Well, good on you.
That's a lot, because that's when seasons used to be like 23 episodes
Uh-huh.
in length.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 12 or 13 seasons of a normal series these days.
Yeah, I'm in the process of making my way through Person of Interest again, and those are 22 episode seasons. So it's like, ooh.
All right, Nasha's not here. Mega Quiet, you got one?
There's scrapers in central Detroit, isn't there? I was thinking like a Joe planted right in the middle of town with skyscrapers all surrounding it. And it's relatively popular, but it's wanted. The land is actually wanted by people in town, so they want to destroy the dojo and replace it with other buildings. That's of commercial interest, but the dojo master just won't leave.
Can I throw in some stuff to adjust that?
Yeah.
Why the hell
Because based off the fact that it's wanted by everybody, it occurs to me that we could totally rip off the thing that I think Giger did in mine, which is the One Ring. That's the name of the
That's right.
gym.
I forgot about that.
It's the name of this fighting gym, and it's like one gym to rule them all, but it's the One Ring. Everybody wants it.
I can live with that. All right, Pendragon,
One
what
ring
you
to
got?
rule them all.
From the top of my head, also I didn't have much time to think, but I imagine none of you ever watched like Gabriel, like this film from 2007. It's like a really shitty film, but they have like this really cool idea, which is sort of a trailer park in a shitty area of town, and since we have the vampires are from Romania and so on, maybe we could have a Roma community in there, like the Roma stay there in the trailers, and you go there to ask for knowledge or something. And you could have like a really old babush as the head of the thing.
Have you guys read the Monster Hunters? They have like the fairies live like in a trailer park.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Those are awesome.
Kind of made me think of that a little bit.
The trolls are actually trolls.
And the gnomes are like gnomes.
Yep.
All right, thing.
Yeah, so that trashy dive bar where things go to hang out, and that seems to have
Nice.
an infinite number of replaceable chairs
And tables.
and tables, and the front glass, the window, is always fixed.
It could actually be like there's this local pizza place, which apparently we had an ice storm a while back, and some dude threw a freaking brick through the window. So the guys just like put up the boards, and now they left the boards as a point.
But we all know that shitty dive bar. It has to exist,
Oh yeah.
and it's where my character would spend all of their time. So
Mm-hmm. Now, are you specifically talking about a supernatural hangout or just a normal
yeah, there'd
fishy
be
place?
some. There'd be some, or people who are in the know.
Okay.
Kind of like where all the cops hang out, or all the supernatural people hang out.
So not like the one in Buffy. So there was a
Yeah,
recurring bar that they used in Buffy. It was populated almost entirely by demons and vampires and whatever.
Yeah,
but
they're not
this
quite
wouldn't be
evil
entirely.
ones. The ones just trying to exist. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
like that.
Is Jimon who's soon the owner of the bar as well?
Yeah.
There'd be
Who
the barman.
runs it?
He's the one who knows everything. Some barman who, is the one in the know.
Everybody's got one guy that knows everything.
It's actually the same guy. We just don't realize it.
He doesn't need
He's
to know
that
everything. He
amazing.
can just run the bar and overhear things.
That's fine. If you guys have lots of sources.
And the bar definitely has that shady dude in the corner with a hood up who is the one who knows exactly what's happening at all times.
Big white
you know that
hat,
guy?
smoking a cigar. We don't know what his real name is here, but around here we call him Strider. And then he takes you to the One Ring bar or One Ring gym.
There also happens to be a brick wall that teleports you to a completely different alleyway. Insert all generic fantasy and horror tropes into this bar.
Whatever you do not use the bathrooms. No one comes out of those alive.
There was a role-playing series I was listening to that had the bar with the wall in the bathroom you went through, but it went to a market dimension that turned out to be run by the sin of greed. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I actually really like the troll market in Hellboy 2.
Oh,
damn it! Yeah.
So you gave me an idea for my location, the apothecary. I'm not. Is it Baldur's Gate? It's one of the Forgotten Realms. There's like a bar where the adventurers go, and that's where they go into the dungeons. I don't know. It's like the back door of the bar takes them to the dungeon.
Yeah, that's Waterdeep.
Waterdeep. So I'm wondering if this apothecary.
Waterdeep to Undermountain. Get the name.
So he doesn't. You don't go there to buy stuff, but he's got some sort of portal or dimension where he like lets you pay him like if you need to get something and you go into that dimension to get whatever ingredients or stuff you need. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Crazy ideas.
Yeah, for some reason you can't find my character. You know where he's going to be. He's going to be at that bar.
Uh-huh.
Possibly in one of the bathroom stalls going, "Help! Help! Get me out!"
Well, maybe he does have letters.
Just to mess with us.
All right. Well, in the absence of Nosh, that's everybody, and that's essentially the end of my spiel here. So,
Have you got any ideas for backgrounds?
something you guys will want to work out, and this might be as good a time as any, is how you guys are together. So you guys will be. I am not going to do an introduction thing. So you guys are going to just get tossed into it, and I'm going to ask why you're there.
We meet at that bar. We all meet at that bar.
That's one possibility, but it makes more sense if who's the sage? Because if they're organized, they'd be the one who scouts us to help him, probably.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, which
I don't
one was
know.
that?
I don't know if I'm drawing too much on Dresden, but I did like the idea of being part of like the White Council. Like he doesn't really give a shit about anybody. My guy, he's kind of an asshole, but he's definitely human. And vampires have whatever these vampires were going after have been acting up, and his job is just to go take care of it.
Our circumstance, we all had to run into each other while we're going after the same den.
Well, you can if you want. It's a fairly thin excuse, but it sometimes works. Of course, that means you have to fight.
Oh man, it just occurred to me. My character is probably not old enough to go into the bar. Or he's going to be carded for 500 years because he's going to have been died at 17 or something and then was awakened, so he's stuck. He looks like a kid.
You're forgetting that dive bar does not give a fuck and they never check anyone.
Yeah, maybe.
You guys have an age limit. You're 21.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, then in 500 years, he's like, yeah, I'm 522.
Do you hide it? Like, do people? Like, do you just
right
pretend
now,
you're
it
like
just literally,
you're like
it
the
just
son or the
happened.
cousin? Oh, okay.
It just happened to him. But his mentor, his patron, has been dealing with that for 250 years. Where it's like, ah, crap, I've got to leave town for another 50 years and wait till everybody dies out and come back as the other guy's son.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, FX, if you put on your character sheet that you have a duty or a patron or whatever to the White Council, that's all you need to put on there, because I'll be able to know what that is.
Because I've told him about the Dresden stuff entirely too much.
I've learned a lot about Dresden by osmosis.
I love those books. The building was on fire, and it was not my fault.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that.
Shiny.
Wasn't somebody on the your Monster Hunters thing doing that?
Sort of. Andricus, his character was loosely affiliated with them, but not officially affiliated with them because he was from a different one. Because he wasn't sufficiently powerful enough to be a member of the actual White Council.
Actually, just thinking about that, I wonder if the White Council would actually have anything to do with the Watchers.
I would have to contemplate that because the White Council kind of sucks. I mean, plus you've got the whole the laws of magic and crap like that would not necessarily fit in this.
Oh, right. So those of you that aren't actually on the Fantasy Grounds, you may not be able to see this exactly, but and actually, I don't know if you may need to turn on the modules for this, but I have a lot of the campaign rules stuff that I have collected that we keep having to refer to all the time and stuff, and that's all in under books. So if you look at books, and there should be one in there called rules.
Books.
And I have linked to it there. But like I said, you may have to turn on the modules to be able to see the actual
Which
stuff.
module do I need to turn on to see the books?
That would be... what the hell did I call that?
Because I don't see one in the module activation that says anything by books.
No, I think it would... Damn it. Oh, right. God damn it. Got me again. Goddamn page 2. It won't let me scroll down. Okay, that's why I couldn't find it. Yeah, there should be one under there called actual rules. Just rules.
I do not see that.
Is it on page 2?
It is not on page 2. The only thing
Have
that's
you
on
shared
page
it
2 is
to place?
universe reaction tables.
Is that how that... Oh, damn it, that's how that works. I thought you'd still be able to do it. Hold on. Okay, that fixed it.
I see rules now. There's rules. Shiny. That'll be cool.
Yeah, anyway, so I will be updating that with any pertinent stuff that we have agreed to today. But all that stuff like under combat and action on the first thing, it's that damn min damage rule. So I've got that on there. Stuff like that.
Cool.
I have a very specific combat style in mind.
Do you?
Uh-oh.
More bullets.
What's that?
A very specific combat style. More bullets.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yes, that's a lovely fighting style. That is the heavy weapons thing. If you can't resolve it with more bullets, then you're not firing enough bullets.
No, dual SMGs is what I'm going for.
Oh, side note, by the way, I recently finally got around to watching Day Shift. And it's a Netflix vampire action thing. And I actually do recommend that. That was actually turned out to be pretty good. I thought it was going to be typical Netflix slop, and it turned out actually it was pretty funny.
There's that
And
series
bloody.
of books, the Night Watch or Day Watch series, and every time I hear
Russian?
those names come up, yeah, the Russian one, I always think, I really hope this series has something to do with those books, and they never do.
Where does this take place in the timeline of the Night City Chronicles?
That is an interesting question. So this is effectively Detroit, and Night City is effectively Chicago. So you know that their Night City is just a bit further down the lakes. But timeline-wise, I don't think we ever really established a firm date back
better
then,
stay
but
out of
it
my
was
city.
a while back. So,
Just stay out of my city.
given
I guess
that it's
the important question is, technology-wise, mobile phones or no mobile phones, and what about
Or
internet?
pagers and beepers.
well, that's not really what Ronky's asking. Because we did things in the campaign a little bit. So the question really is: was that 10 years ago, or was that actually recent?
Or is it
And
yet to happen?
I would say that Both of these campaigns are sort of 20 minutes in the future, and that could actually be happening right now.
That's right. So that means my Captain America in a bat suit is running around kicking criminals' butts, breaking lots of legs.
It also means internet, which has gameplay ramifications.
So it's probably not a good idea that my first body that I occupy is not one of the characters from that game.
It's fine if it's your character. He just doesn't have the superpowers because he's dead.
Well, one of the reasons that we never picked that one back up is because Ronky would never finish his character.
What do you mean he was never finished?
You never finished all your auxiliary stuff. You had a bunch of other stuff that you needed to do that you never bothered about.
You sure?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Right. Well, I guess that's
Yeah.
done.
Since we're at the end of it, I'll let you guys, you new guys, in on the way the Night City thing worked. So the deal was, each of us players at the time were supposed to create our own character that had his own show, and he had his own crew of auxiliary characters, his sidekicks and all that. And so when we were playing that guy's show, everybody else would be playing those NPCs. Well, they're not really NPCs. They're temporary PCs. And then we go play the other show, and he'd have his own sidekick characters. And so it's basically like watching the Netflix MCU thing. So you're doing Daredevil one day, and you got all the support characters there. And then you do Iron Fist the next day, and you got all the support characters there. And then they would do a team up at some point.
Not Iron Fist. That was so badly done because of that actor.
Never minding how badly done that was, but it had potential. And frankly, is probably not the worst thing they did.
They do have the same, like a similar mechanic in Ars Magica. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I never got into that one.
It's been a while since I've played. It's a really nice game.
That was actually the first game that I ever played. I think it was second edition, Ars Magica. Gigermann, quick question on the types of enemies and stuff and knowledges. Are we just kind of stuck to vampires, or should we expect other types? Undead, living, restless undead versus the vampires. Zombies,
Werewolves.
werewolves, stuff like that. Fairies, whatever.
I would say that the other stuff definitely does exist. And there's a non-zero chance that something could show up. But
Like plopped in the wilderness.
Well, okay, so because some of the characters are going to be pretty knowledgeable in the vampire stuff, I will go ahead and tell you that I am ripping off World of Darkness a lot.
Nice.
Personally, I'd understand wilderness more than this Dresden Files and all these, even Monster Hunters.
They're actually not that
exact opposite. The exact opposite. I know the Dresden stuff a lot better than World of Darkness.
But
I just want to bark in their face.
yeah, having said that, Pendragon, there is a World of Darkness supplement for old World of Darkness that is for Wraith the Oblivion. It's called The Risen, and that is the Crow.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm playing also Assassin of Wraith right now. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to say I never played Wraith. We did have this little World of Darkness mixed bag thing that one guy ran, 20 years ago, probably almost 30 years ago. And at one point, he basically killed us all, and we played Wraith for a little while. We were supposed to come back at some point, but he didn't actually explain that to everybody before we got there, and it really didn't make sense at the time. So it was generally considered a bad idea, but so don't ever do that when you're running.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably the heaviest of the World of Darkness games. It's nice, but it's like a bit of a different vibe.
I have fiddled around with it, and yeah, it's a little odd. I could see some potential benefit to it, but you'd really have to be into that sort of thing. But the Risen seems easy enough, and I've actually used the Crow in at least one campaign that I ran. So the original, the Crusade, God, that was, well, that would have been
Mumble
almost
years
15
ago.
years ago.
Mumble years ago.
They fought a crow guy in the medieval period.
I see. I mean, I'm not. How can I explain that? It's not going to be exactly the Crow. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
try
yeah.
to bring something from folklore or whatever to justify the character. But yeah, it's just basically the same mechanic.
Yeah. No, that's fine. And you can build the character however you want. So you grab a Monster Hunter's template or whatever, and just slap the crow label on it or whatever.
Sure. No worries.
Considering you mentioned possibly building and playing multiple characters, I might actually just build my philo, my sage philanthropist, who's the one who brings everyone together. But pretty much all their points I'll just chuck into like money and base.
I don't have a problem with it.
What do you guys think?
You,
And then he can be the
you
hook.
might,
What's
You
the
might be the
advantage?
best-
Origins magnet.
I remember that.
And then just for shits and
Supers.
giggles, I can make all the servants the hive size who help him out.
Something you can do is you could A, create the character however you wanted, and B, everybody could take him as a patron.
Yeah.
And if you guys wanted to put your points together and just, split it up between everybody, he's going to be a relatively cheap one because his power level is going to be pretty similar to yours. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with doing that.
He'd just have resources and some and knowledge. So,
and if you occasionally decide to get him attacked by vampires or something, I don't have a problem with that.
it'd be funny because he's probably going to suck at combat compared to everyone else.
Mhm.
Then my patron, who's like possibly a friend of his, shows up and actually, yes, I can fight.
Recruit people who have different patrons. That will work fine, just because he was more of a background-esque character anyway. So, doesn't hurt. And I like making characters because I'm weird.
That's
Yeah, we know that.
everybody.
Guy.
I probably have over 50 sitting on my computer, some of which have never seen the light of day, some of which never will.
I haven't done that a lot. I have like the first character I created in GURPS when I first bought it in 1991. I never actually had a campaign for him. I was just creating it because I was learning the system. But I think every one I've created since then has been for a campaign that was going on.
I like coming up with characters, the reasons behind their things. A lot of the time, because I can't play a lot of games because of the time frames, I'll see what games are posted and just build a character for it because I find it's interesting.
So
with those limitations and setting.
What you might enjoy is what I do on the wiki, and you can look at this with your character in Traveler, is I have a thing that I ripped off from the Masks 1,000 NPCs or whatever it is that I got out from Steve Jackson Games. They have this layout that they use for all those characters in there, where it's just traits and background and stuff like that. And I have a sort of system that I use in there. If you were to go in there and start filling out some of that stuff, actually throw background and traits and all this shit on multiple characters in there or whatever, you can go nuts on that stuff. And I will absolutely post that.
It's mostly headcanon stuff, but yeah, if you want to chuck the link up in one of the channels so I can find it easily, I'll take a look and might do something.
Ah. Origins
I kind of got
Magnet.
into using LLMs for solo RPGs recently, so I've been doing that a bit with different characters, which has been interesting and fun.
Origins Magnet is a version of Weirdness Magnet. People who are in your company or associated with you regularly acquire superpowers of their own and often turn to heroism or villainy.
That's not what I was thinking that was.
I thought Origins as in grounds, but apparently not.
I was thinking it would be that you just attracted new supers.
Well, it is kind of. You're the one
Kind of.
causing them.
Silver Age Superman.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Where everybody
yeah,
and their
that.
brothers getting a superpower.
And their dogs and cats and
Horses and monkeys.
horses and monkeys. Oh dear.
I'm not joking. They had,
Yeah, I know. That's why I
Beppo the
was
super
laughing.
monkey, Comet the super horse.
I always
Holy
wondered
crap,
what
I
the
remember the
origin of Crypto was, and I found out the other day.
He's a dog from Crypt.
He's Laika. You know how the Russians sent up Laika the dog into space? That's what they did with him.
Well, it depends on which version, because, I think the current stuff is, he was Kal-El's actual dog on Krypton, and somehow they sent him, and I'm like, okay, sure.
According to James Gunn, it's Kara's dog.
Yeah, well, according to James Gunn, Jor-El and Lara are evil.
Yeah. Spread your seed.
All right.
Well,
Shiny.
I don't think I've got anything else to go over, so
Now I
suppose
gotta
we're
build
free
my
to go
bloody
and
character.
get to it.
Thanks for the preamble. I'll have 1 or 2 characters ready soonish.
1 or 2.
Or 3
That
or
will
4.
be fine.
Maybe more.
You can make a whole crew if you want. I don't care. You just got to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Yep.
we're done with the stream then.
I suppose we are.
All right. Well, I guess Traveler next week, we got to finish our race and win.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's that as well.
All right. Well, goodbye stream until next week.
Until next week, everybody.
See you guys.
All right, bye. See you guys.
Use